Hello YouTube, MFJJ here. Sorry for the little hiatus, been real busy lately, but here we go. We're going to do a review on something that we've wanted to do a review on for about 10 months, but we never got any until now. So we've got an Axcel Landslyde here for you. So this is my first looks. I haven't even really played with it. I think we put like 2 on bows and I touched a couple of them, but I haven't really done much with it. So take you down the road with me of my first experiences of this little gorgeous sight from Truball Axcel. These retail between $300 and $500 depending on which configuration you get, i.e. the type of base you put on here changes the price. The type of head you have in here, like this is the 3-pin slider version. They all vary and change the price up and down, least expensive one being the single pin direct mount. Axcel is known for their quality of machining. They make really, really, really good products. So I have no doubts that this will be a phenomenal, amazing product. The biggest hiccup for anybody is they take 6 to 10 months to get. So that's the negative. So without further ado, let me just pop this sucker open. We'll take a look. Then we'll bolt it on a bow and level it up and set it up for you. So if you're doing it at home, you know how to get it rolling and where to start at. Badging down here. Pop that little card out. So first off, they changed the pins a little bit since the last time I looked at it. It looks more like a fin pin, kind of like a black gold, which will give you a little more stability, which is nice. This has been something they've made forever, which does come in handy on bright sunny days. It's just a little sunshade that you rotate over. One of the cool features that the Landslyde has that no other sights in this category, in my opinion, do, is that you can actually free spool it. So you can disengage the turn and it'll just move. So if you need to go from your 20-yard setting to your 80-yard setting or 90-yard setting, you can do it really fast. Another cool feature that they offer is they do have bolt-in machined sight tapes, which are pretty cool. They're in the little package. They come with a bunch of them. So if you want something that can't erode or come off over time, but that's a pretty neat little feature. And they do have dual indicator needles on the multi-pin head. And what's that's for is so you can individually adjust where your top pin and your bottom pin line up. So when you move it to different distances, i.e. you're up at the 20, let me loosen that again, back up, whoop. And then move it down, your second needle would be pointed at like 40. So if you move it down to where 80 is, your second pin is going to be more like probably like 93 or 95 yards because that 20-yard gap doesn't maintain all the way out. Closer distances, it's going to be tighter. Farther distances, it's going to be farther away. So that's another nice little indicator addition that I think Black Gold actually made that first. So I think they may have borrowed that from them on that. The adjustment system in the pins is phenomenal too, but a lot of guys make very similar ones, but very, very finite to adjust. So, but it's smooth, it's clean, it's really tight, still has a removable head like a lot of target sights do. That's a target sight feature. Most of them don't just come off to where you could swap heads. So if a guy wanted to run a 3-pin head and then a 1-pin head, you could flip-flop them back over. And there's a little indicator in there so you could change it real simple, real easy, and make sure it's exact precise every time. So this sight has incorporated several, high-end target sight features in a hunting sight, and that's the first that I've seen that quick move and that head. So, but without further ado, let's bolt this thing on a bow and show you how to level it up and get it perfect. So we'll move on over here. So this is a direct mount. We're going to go ahead and bolt this on, but I wanted to show you the 3 different little sets of holes there in it. So it allows you to mount it closer to the bow or farther away from the bow. And if you follow my philosophies on most of what I think is right, the closer you put this thing to your eye, the less you're going to miss by when you torque. And because it's a hunting bow, that's pretty important to me. So I'm going to go ahead and mount it in the first set of holes, just so you know, in case you can't see that from where I'm working. Now, if you really don't ever want this thing to come off, you can go ahead and put Loctite in it, but I strongly discourage that, largely because I end up being the person who has to take a lot of them off, and it's really hard to get them off sometimes with Loctite. And you already have a film dip riser, so if you ever have to put heat on it, you're going to damage something trying to get it off. So just put it on really snug and don't necessarily use Loctite. All right, now that we've got screw 1 and screw 2 in, we need to get our levels on here. So I need my my Podium 2-way and my Hamskea Gen 2. So first things first, I'm going to put on that level and then mount this guy so on the rail. If there's a place to mount it on the rail, it looks like you can mount it right here. All you're trying to do is set this is your first axis, or the sight position that moves up and down this way. That thing that rotates this direction. That's what we're trying to set. And you do that by getting the string square first, and then matching that by adjusting these two screws. So axis 1, we like to use the OMP vices, but there's a lot of good ones out there, and we'll do some reviews on some of those as well here soon. So if you look at that, that's almost perfect. Being a little finicky here. Let's move it. All right. Now, if we come and look at this level, it's a little off, so we need to loosen this guy here. And these are Easton set. I'm sure you can find other ones out there, but they're stubbies. So a little short ones, so it's easy to get into these little screws here for those. So I really encourage these suckers. It just makes this job a lot easier. And if you bought this sight, it's probably got stubby screws with it. So I like to loosen the bottom one a lot and then the top one just a tiny bit. And then it should let you plumb it up. And you just need to match that bubble there. So we're going to go right about there. And then tighten the top one back up. And then tighten the bottom one back up. Now, that's axis 1. And now that we know that's level, we can turn and look at this guy. And now that one's not level. So we need to readjust that head here. And that one is really hard to see, but there's a little screw up here and a little screw down here, and they're kind of hiding underneath the head. That's the scope head that rotates this way independently of this part. That's the second axis. The third axis is this guy, and that one's a little tricky. You need to use your Gen Pro 2 level with a needle to set it, and might want to have your buddy's help for that. Because we're not actually setting this bow up to an individual, we're not going to do that, but that's what you would use to do that. Refer to our video about this level on how to set a third axis. That is those two screws on this sight right here. If you want to come above real quick. Those two right here, that's your third axis screws on this sight, just so you know. But how to adjust that with that guy, refer to the video we already made. We're not going to duplicate it. So once again, you're probably going to need a real stubby wrench to get in here to get at that. And I think it's this one. Triple check my sizing on this guy. Oop. Too much coffee this morning. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's that one. Good Lord. Yeah, it's it. 764 is that one. Okay, so. Oh my gosh, I can't even get there. So you're going to have to, this is kind of a pain in the ass. Sorry. Got to move the windage all the way over too. So got to move the sight over this way so you can actually even get at that screw with a stubby. There we go. And it barely moves there. Ooh, boy, this is awkward. Really clean sight, really hard to adjust these things. But fortunately for most people, you're only going to adjust them once, and if you've got a good shop in the area, they're going to do it for you, and you don't have to mess with that. So now that I've monkeyed with this a bunch, I'm going to go recheck my levels to make sure I'm still sitting level and I didn't bump anything. Yeah, I'm still good. And then move this guy. So what I like to do is lightly snug it up so there's just a little resistance, so when you push on it, it might stick a little. So you see I can move it and it just stays there. Might not quite be tight enough. Alrighty, now, really quick before it moves on me, I'm going to tighten that bottom screw. Now, just get it snug and then check it again. Make sure nothing shifted, make sure nothing moved. Perfect. Okay, so now reef, but not so much you're going to wreck it. Alright, snug. So the levels are good. And one more thing before you start shooting this thing, you're not going to really know where the up and down is going to start at, but you can at least somewhat eyeball the left and right. And how you want to do that when you have an arrow rest on there is you want to look down your arrow and your arrow rest and move the pins to the left if you're right-handed. of the string, about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch, because it is going to hit left, because as you draw the bow back and the cables pull on the bow, it's going to push it that way, which is going to push the sight that way, and that's why it needs to be a little bit left of center before you start, which that's probably, if we were to sight this bow in, give you an idea for all you got a V331, your starting windage point on this is probably going to look about like that, somewhere in there, and then you can run the dowel outside of that. So that's how you would mount up and set up and start that sight before you actually started sighting it in. Try to keep your top pin here on a 3-pin at around the middle of the sight. Don't go above that, because you're going to lose distance on drop, because at some point as you lower this sight down, it's going to run into your arrow. You're not going to always have a full amount of clearance. But if you start this way up here in the housing, your 3rd pin is going to be right here, and then you got this giant gap of daylight where your arrow would run into. So on a 3-pin sight, I always start the 20-yard pin right in the middle of the housing. Plus, it's a little more pleasing for the mind to have that first pin right in the middle. So that's our setup and our review of our Landslyde. This is an amazingly good sight. Like I said, the only problem is you can't get them. I don't have any available for sale other than this one. We had 3. We sold the other 2 in the shop this week. So unfortunately, there's no end in sight for the delay on this thing, so I can't really, put a link in there for you. But if you can get your hands on one, they're really nice sights. There's a lot of good ones out in the market today, but this is a really clean sight. They're just, like I said, 6 to 8 months behind. So head on over to podiumarchery.com for all your archery needs. $99 and up is free shipping. If there's stuff you're looking for that we don't have, please ask, please message, please send emails, snail mails, phone calls, what have you, anything. Just let me know what you're looking for, and if I can list it and sell it, I will, and get it out to you as quick as we can. Hit like, hit subscribe, comment below. Let me know what kind of videos you're looking for. We're going to have a whole bunch of reviews coming up because we're really close to bows being released, and I have a whole bunch of different stuff coming, and hopefully we should be able to get those out to you like right when they're released this year or really close to it. Got some things in the works. Try to make that happen for you. Thanks for checking us out, and thanks for coming back. Once again, sorry for the big delay. Life got a little crazy there, but we'll get back to you with a lot of consistency. Love all you guys. Thanks for checking us out.